How to scale your roofing company using theory of constraints. I had a conversation with a roofing company last night where they are trying to scale their company and they have big goals. They want to hit $5 million. They're just getting started, but they would like to hit $5 million over the next year. Before we got lost in the weeds of how great that would be and all the things that comes with that, and they're gonna get the sales people and everything like that, I tried to bring them down to a more logistical plan and show them what I'm about to share with you here. Basically, the way this plan works out is that as an owner of a roofing company, your job is going to be to look at where is the biggest constraints in my business, and I'm only gonna focus, and that's gonna be my job, fix those constraints until they're fully alleviated. I don't really spend much time in anything else. Here's how it works. You start a roofing company. When you're just getting started, the number one thing you need is leads, right? More opportunities. In our philosophy, a lot of times we talk about getting started with door knocking because it's a very powerful skill, not just because of it brings in customers, but what it teaches you of all the little intricacies on dealing with customers, right? You have to be really good at keeping and holding attention and keeping trust when you are door knocking. Any little bit can lose it and you'll basically, you're too cold to keep their attention. When you have enough experience doing that, what happens is then when you get it in front of higher quality leads, people are calling you for them, it becomes a piece of cake to deal with those things, and it becomes just like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, that being said, if you're in that position, your company is doing under 3-4 roofs a week, you should make it your full-time thing to just get in front of more people and close more deals. And the mindset shift we would recommend having is not just closing deals just to close them, but closing and focusing on the process of being an excellent salesman. Whatever that is, if you're gonna buy a course, you're gonna take somebody else's, system, however you like to go about your business philosophy, if you like to learn from others, or you're gonna figure it out yourself, or you're under a company that you're learning before you go on your own, whatever the plan is, highly focus on the process. Did you ask all the right questions? Did you then go into pricing when you're supposed to? Did you show them and get their confirmation? All those little things that you have, the did you yes or yes no confirmations and whatnot, and things you'd have in a sales script, I would focus on just getting really good at following your own thing, because many owners, they create systems. Most people don't even create a process, but when they do, they realize they themselves don't follow the process because they think they're above it. They, I'm the one who made this. They completely go off script. That's not a way that one day somebody's gonna follow you, or salespeople you're gonna be able to coach them. Because if you're not following it, they're not gonna be able to, properly follow it. And when they don't, you're not gonna be able to hold them accountable because you don't follow it yourself, right? These are the things that I'm talking about. Focusing on where is the bottleneck and then processing it that from day one. And that's how you get ready for that big scale, right? Showing and being open to work hard and hit big numbers. It's not gonna make big numbers happen. It's your understanding of how well of the process is, and then other people you can hire to do that work consistently is gonna dictate how far you can scale. So coming back to it, once you're getting your initial sales coming in, now it's gonna be time to dissect them out, right? For example, if you're door knocking, that's a lot of different skills bunched together, right? Like if you notice door knocking, where's the marketing? Where's the appointment setting? Where's the sales presentation? They're all like bunched together because that is the marketing. You're doing your effort to go out door to door to door to door, and one out of a certain amount of roofs that you knock on is gonna be able to get on top, and then a certain percentage of that will have damage that you can actually write up, etc., right? So my point is, you'd have to dissect that to a certain degree, especially if you want to have multiple channels of marketing. Then you're gonna have, okay, leads are coming in and you're proving out those channels, right? I would recommend in the beginning having like 2 solid channels, 2 ways that every time you spend X, you get Y out of it. Once you're there, then you're just gonna see, can I spend more and make more, right? Sounds simple, but it's basically like, whatever your channels are, can I spend the amount of leads I'm getting and do the conversion stay the same, right? So for example, if you're currently spending, let's say $500, every time you spend $500 and you get a new roof installed, right? Like cost of acquisition. Now, if you spend $5,000, do you get 10 or do you get 8? Because many ways of doing things, when you get more, it actually becomes harder to scale the campaign. And you need to know those numbers to the T, and you yourself do it first before you throw other people on there. And the only way to do that is actually to run a good amount of appointments, right? So you as the owner, we would recommend to be in a position where you'd be open to run 3 to 5 appointments, right? Going to appointments per day minimum. You can do more, but that would be the minimum we would recommend before you get salespeople, because by that time you have so much volume and so many times you've gone through the process and confirmed it with all the little intricacies, what to say when this happens, what to say when that happens, what to have this weird instance that happened, how to deal with it. You'll have all of that documented and well processed. That's the part, right? If you don't process it, you're gonna keep being in the same place for years and years and years, and then notice that why it's not growing. going. But if you process it out, you can have the growth of 5 years in a single year just because you documented every single lesson that you came across in your area. This is gonna probably put you in a position where you can be about selling a roof a day, right? We've seen it multiple times where roofers we work with, it's just the owner. He has an efficient back end, right? So he's not doing out like paperwork and all this stuff. That's all taken care of. He's not answering the phones. He's just like a racehorse going to appointments, and he's closing roughly average 4 or 5 roofs a week just by himself. And some of them were in Florida, and they were doing, you know, multiple millions just by himself as a, you know, elite salesman in this way. And that's something works out very well. Once you can prove it out, only then we would recommend hiring salespeople. You see, this is why it's called theory of constraints. Until it's a constraint where it literally is painful, until then you don't get the person, right? So start off, you answer all the phones too. Until it's painful, until it's so annoying that you're getting 3-4 phone calls during a sales presentation that doesn't make sense, you need somebody, that's when you hire the receptionist. Last stage, right? I mean, there's infinitely more stages above this, but for a local business going to multiple millions, I would say this is the only other stage that you need, and that's when you finally get salespeople. Once you get salespeople, the mindset I think people have a lot of times is what really gets them is they think it's just gonna work out within the first couple of weeks or months that they get a salesperson. It's just gonna take some time to ramp up and they'll be fine. Whatever is the time frame you think, just add like 5x to that. Because what's gonna happen is not only that it's gonna take a couple months to ramp up, but it's gonna take a couple people until you find even one that's decent. And to be really real, it's gonna take a couple of decent ones before you find one that's truly a rock star. This is why a lot of times bigger companies, they hire salespeople in the bunches. If you ever notice, like, why do they get so many people at once and then they just like fire? It's because they've already been through the game and they don't like to go through that slow drip that it takes a year to find a rock star. They just quickly go through, they know what they're looking for, and within a couple of weeks, they already like shed off a bunch of those people that came in, and now they only got a few ones that they're really vetting and seeing, and they know their dollar figure, which is another hard part, mindset-wise, is that if you know you spend $500 and you get a roof, this time you're gonna be okay that you gotta spend maybe $1,000, $1,500, maybe $2,000, where it's like really cutting into your profit, and you're barely making money because you're just trying to learn the process and figuring out which salesperson is gonna work. If you're able to think like this and just be willing to forego making high profit margin for some time because you're going through the process, testing everything out, testing on multiple channels to get the marketing right, testing on a few people before you get the receptionist really dialed in, that they're setting not just appointments that are just, you know, handing over order takers, but they can really vet the people out, make sure they're like not one-leggers, like all that kind of stuff until they're really trained, and they're moving forward until you get all your systems dialed into place so you have your salesperson will be able to get trained. And then once you get the salespeople in, you can go through the baths patiently while being a good coach until you get your superstar at least 1 or 2 decent guys. If you think of it like that, you'd be surprised within maybe 2 years you'd be in a position where your company's doing millions, and then you can be in a position where you can have really good margins. It's running, you're not running appointments, you're not answering phone, you're overall just seeing the entire system and the machine works. Marketing does its thing, leads come in, reception sets the appointments, sales guys run the appointments, they're closing at a decent rate, and the back end is delivering it, and in the end all the way until the customer gives a good review. That entire process can really run itself, and a company can do between 2 to 5 million, give or take, with not much more complexity than what I just covered in this video.